ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honourables,
you human traffickers. Telling them not to counterpunch.
Welcome back as the Sports Talk on Atlantic Television Network. Of course, on this edition of the show, Emmanuel Michael joins me this morning. Good morning to you, Michael, and welcome to another exciting edition of Sports Talk.
Yeah, good morning to you, Kingsley, and good morning to our viewers out there.
All right, let's start the show with judo this morning. As chairman of the Lagos State Judo Association, Sharif Ahmed says he is determined to harness the potential of the martial arts sport Sambo for the benefit of athletes in the country. Sambo is an offshoot of judo, jujutsu, boxing, folk wrestling, and is currently recognized by the International Olympic Committee, although it is yet to be listed for demonstration at the Olympics. Unlike other combat sports, Sambo is not known to many in the country, but Hamad, who is the Joint Secretary of the International Association of Combative Sports, believe it will soon become the fastest growing sport in the country with the channeling of resources towards its development. To enhance the popularity of Sambo, Hamad said they will soon host international tournaments. Michael, this is another new sport, of course, we're seeing at this point in time. It is called Sambo. It has to do with a combination of wrestling, judo, and I think one or two other sports as well. I don't know what you make of this one. It was an introduction of new sports these days, but I don't know what you make of Sambo this time around.
Well, Sambo this time around in the game, I think for me it's a relatively an unknown sport, but the Olympic body have also taken recognition of this, although it has not been featured in any of the Olympic game so far. But then they've actually taken notice of this very game. If they actually want to make it, part of the sport that athletes can compete out there, then it boils down to the authority, just like the Joint Secretary is talking about out there, that is going to do everything possible within his power to ensure that he become one of the mainstay, one of the major sports out there. And for me, it goes beyond the talking. It must go down to the working aspect of it and try to make it visible, because if it becomes visible, then sportsmen and women who also take pleasure in such sport will also be smiling home, because when it is being approved by the Olympic body, when it is included in the Olympic, then it's a good opportunity for them as well to showcase their talent to the world and also make a living through it. So if you ask me, I think it's a good one. But the problem is that in this part of the climb, when we talk about relatively unknown sport out there, we tend to pay less attention to it. We just hear some of these statements at the initial stage, but at the tail end of it, when you expect them to be doing a whole lot in order to expand the knowledge of the game and carry people along, so that sportsmen and women can also delve into that arena, the quest for it just dies naturally. Why? Because much attention is not given to it, because it looks as though it is an popular sport out there. So these are some of the issues in this part of the climb. But if you talk about the more developed climb out there, I think they always back their statement with action, and that makes it very, very easy for them to achieve whatever goal they want to set for themselves out there. But for me, I think in Africa as a whole, it has been a problem whenever relatively an unknown sport is being introduced, we find it very difficult to also continue to sustain the momentum at the long run. We just do the initial, introductory part of it, and euphoria, happiness, and joy will come, a whole lot of accolade. But at the point when you think they are going to stamp their foot on ground to be able to establish such a sport permanently, they just frizzle away. So let's just keep our fingers crossed, hoping that we are taking him by his word. Hence, he has made it very clear that he's going to make sure that he ensure that it's one of the sports that become a major stay in the country, and not just the country, but also to make it that popular, where the Olympic body will also include it as one of the major games out there. If all things being equal, if you can work with other bodies that also have the same interest of the same sport, I think it's achievable.
All right, let's see if Sambo, of course, will come to fruition at the end of the day. But let's talk about cricket, as we hear that former champions Rwanda made it 2 wins in 2 matches at the ongoing Nigerian Cricket Federation Women's T20 Invitational Tournament after beating Sierra Leone by 10 wickets yesterday at the Tafawa Balewa Cricket Oval in Lagos. Leonard Inhamburu's ladies, who beat debutants and the highest ranked team, Tanzania, by 33 runs on Sunday, also inflicted Sierra Leone's second defeat on them. The West Africans won the toss, elected in the first innings, but they couldn't hit the balls and posted just 57 runs all out in 11.5 overs. That gave Rwanda some light work in the second innings, as they needed just 5.5 overs to reach the 58 runs target for no loss. Earlier in the second game of the day, host Nigeria, who also beat Sierra Leone in their first game over the weekend, lost their second game of the tournament to Tanzania by 49 runs as the debutants got their first win for the tournament. Having faltered in their first game on Sunday, the East African returned with full throttle against Nigeria and posted 134 runs for the loss of 4 wickets in 20 overs, and the female Yellow Greens could only muster 85 runs for 8 wickets in 20 overs. After the second round of matches, Rwanda lead the tourney with 4 points, while Tanzania and Nigeria with 2 points each as second and third, respectively, with the East Africans ahead of the host with a better net run rate to win after 2 matches. And the teams will return to action tomorrow, with Nigeria and Rwanda renewing their rivalry, while Tanzania will hope to extend their lead against Sierra Leone. The 4-nation tournament will be played till March 4th in the round-robin format, and the team with the highest points will go home with the title. So, Michael, it is 2 matches for Nigeria. They won 1 and they lost 1, and they'll be facing Rwanda. Of course, we talk about Rwanda, former champions of this one. Do you see them, the Yellow Greens, getting past Rwanda in this one?
Well, it's a very difficult one. Looking at their last game where they actually lost, I think for me it's going to be a very difficult one for them, because Rwanda here are no pushover. They are a very strong side when you talk about cricket and basketball in Africa. Rwanda have shown over the years that indeed they are a force to be reckoned with, and they've won 2 of their games so far, topping the log out there, and Nigeria is seated second and third, joint with this other country. I think Sierra Leone has been the whooping team of the tournament, but Nigeria, Uganda, Rwanda is going to be a very, very difficult one, because Rwanda will be basking under the euphoria of their 2 wins so far, while Nigeria will try to come back to see if they can come back from their last defeat out there. So this makes the counter even more difficult for the both sides. But then I think if the Yellow Greens do everything possible, they could nick it on the board by getting the second victory against Rwanda. But one thing is very, very certain, that it's not going to be an easy one for them.
Not going to be an easy one for the Yellow Greens of Nigeria, but we hope that, of course, they'll be able to challenge the team, talking about Rwanda, in their next encounter, and we'll hope as well for victory for the Yellow Greens. But let's stay away from cricket this morning as we take a look at table tennis on the show, as Nigeria's table tennis coach Segun Terola admits being nervous leading the Nigerian team to the Ghana next month. But it is, he's counting on Aruna Quadri to maintain the country's dominance in the sport when the competition begins. Rubello last December was without Quadri in his first major tournament at the World Table Tennis Championship in Busan, South Korea, where Team Nigeria failed to record a win at the tournament. Quadri had put out for the tournament the ITCF World Table Tennis Championship due to food poisoning, but has since recovered and is ready to feature at the African Games tournament, according to Terola. At the last edition of the African Games in Rabat, Morocco, Nigeria were ranked second after winning 10 medals, 2 gold, 4 silver, and 4 bronze, and have finished among the top 3 in the last 4 editions of the competition. So we're going to see how this one, of course, will pan out. But the coach talking about Terola is depending on Aruna Quadri for the team to be able to make an edge in the All-African Games. What do you make of, this statement?
Well, for me, this statement does not breed hope and confidence on the side of the coach, talking about Toriola out there. When a coach is saying that he's very, very nervous of taking his team to a major tournament, then and also banking on the experience of a certain players in the team, then it tells you how it is that we need to be very worried at this point in time with this kind of statement. Don't forget, his first major outing since he was appointed in December, he actually went there and performed woefully, and just...
They even record a single win.
A single win. He performed, that is why I said he performed woefully. And the player is banking his hope on, actually got food poisoning a day before that very one. And for me, that actually dampened the morale of the whole team, where one member of a team, just because he's not there, the coach cannot, other members of the team to go out there and get the result. And it tells you how, poor he is, that even in his first, outing, he couldn't win a single game. And this time around, this is the All-African game, a game that Nigeria as a country have built a reputation for themselves as well. The last edition that was held at Rabat, Morocco, we came second, and previously we've come, in the top 3 in the last 4 or 3, outing out there. And instead of we building on the momentum, building on achievement of what the country has achieved over the years, over the past 4 or 5 years down the line, when you talk about all the African games, here is the coach, telling the world that he's banking his hope on one player. I mean, it tells you how, difficult we are going to find it out there. And again, looking at the form of our players, our tennis players out there this year, I think the only man that, stand tall among them is this same Aruna Quadri, who is seated, every other tennis player, both in the male and female category, not even a single one is found within the top 100 out there. And that is how poor for our team, talking about tennis this year. And the coach coming up with this kind of statement, I think we should be worried at this point in time. And that is why, last week in our sister station out there, we are discussing, we said we need 5 or 6 of more of Aruna Quadri, so that we don't always put our eggs in one basket. Because if you actually put your eggs in one basket, whatever happened to that basket, it means that the whole egg there will be broken. So we need to put our bread upon the water, whereby we beam our torchlights in different areas, so that at least we can be able to gather some of the best hand that we have out there, that will assemble them whenever we are heading for this kind of big competition. We don't need to bank our hope on one man, just like the coach talking about Toriola is saying out there. So for me, I think at this point we need to be very, very worried. Then it also boils down for the Tennis Federation of Nigeria to also do their own job, right? Let us start preparation so that we can be able to know if we go out there and fall, that we are going to lay the blame on the coach. Because if we don't do that, now that he has started giving these excuses, and if proper plans are not put in place, it will be another further opportunity for him to lay blames that preparation was not on time, this and that, logistics and all of those. So we must also put all these things in consideration so that we give him a proper, preparation heading there, so they would not have any other excuses to give Nigeria if we actually go out there and perform below expectation. But then, I think for me, I'm very, very worried with this kind of statement coming from Toriola.
I mean, we have a lot of table tennis players in the country, likes of Omotayo, we have Olajide, Omotayo as well. We have Fatima Bello and the rest of them. At least he should be able to, rely on some of these players, not only Aruna Kodi. You could imagine that the World Table Tennis Championship in Busan, Aruna Kodi was not fit and they couldn't record a single win. And that's actually a very poor one. That is to say that, can we say that, with looking at his statements and what has happened since he took over, can we say the man is not, capable enough of handling the Table Tennis Federation of Table Tennis Federation team of Nigeria?
It is very, very glaring, to say the least. Don't forget, in 2019, he was part of the Nigerian contingent as well. Him, along even this same Haruna Quadri and other players were also there as a player. He was also there. So you may say that he's in the same pair with Haruna Quadri. So I do not think that he has any other experience more than Haruna Quadri, and that is why he's banking on Haruna Quadri. So I think for me, if you ask me, I do not think that he has the needed experience, to take this the team far. Because if a coach is coming up at this point in time where we are having less than a month before a major tournament, and you're telling the world that you are very nervous of taking your team to such a championship, and again that you are depending on one player in your team, in your team, to be able to lift the team to its highest point. It means that you don't even have confidence in other players as well. And example is the fact that when this same player that you are banking your hope on was unfit to take part in the world table tennis championship that was just that finished weeks ago, we couldn't record a win. So with all of this, it's a clear pointer to the fact that he has no experience, and as such, going to the All-African game with an inexperienced coach, he come back to haunt us. If he should be appointed for this kind of major position, I think the Nigerian Table Tennis Federation should have taken a look at their calendar and see where and when we are having a major tournament, and see the gap they are going to give him to be able to build on his confidence level and his coaching level before appointing him as a substantive coach to take our team out there. But for me, at this point in time where we are just very close to a major tournament, you are appointing a coach that has less experience. He was appointed in December, and now you are expecting him to go out there and do wonders. And the man has come out publicly to cry. He's saying that he's very nervous. And for me, I think if you ask me, I will tell you that he does not have the experience to lead this team.
All right, we'll keep our fingers crossed and see what Toriola, of course, will be able to do with this team at the All-African game. But let's talk about the Paris Olympic. As we hear that the French Olympic Committee said yesterday that it would provide hotel rooms for breastfeeding French athletes during the Paris Olympics because children are set to remain banned from the athlete village. The move is a response to demand by new mothers that parenting be taken into greater consideration by sporting bodies, notably by French judo star Clarisse Agbe-Nono. Breastfeeding French sports women will be offered rooms at a hotel, a short distance from athlete village, where they can sleep with their infants or have their fathers look after them. French Olympic Committee Secretary General Astrid Guyet told newsmen. Now, Olympic rules means children can be given passes to enter the athlete village under exceptional circumstances. And they were explained, but the passes are very restricted. A social area for families will also be created at the hotel, she added, with the total cost estimated to be around 40,000 euros, which is about $43,000. Michael, what do you make of this arrangement, for the breastfeeding athletes?
I think it's a good one for me because you know, in the Olympic, there are certain things that you don't do out there. It does not permit infants to be part and parcel of it out there, and that would be very, very hard one for nursing mothers out there. If kids or infants are not permitted in the Olympic venue and they are still nursing their baby out there, and that will be very, very difficult. So it's a good one, good consideration from the French Olympic organizing body out there to be able to consider some of these nursing mothers as well. At least they are going to locate a hotel very close to the venue out there, so that even if such mother has finished her game, she can just walk down to the hotel out there and take care of the baby, while the family as well also have been provided a place as well for them to also wait for their own person as well. So for me, if you ask me, I think it's a very lofty idea and a great one out there, because you know what it is. There is this connection between a mother and a baby, especially the newly born one. You can't expect a nursing mother to take part in a game and not allowing a baby to be there so that she can also take care of the baby at such an infant. I think it's a good move, a very
And of course, you begin to wonder, how do these athletes, where do they get the strength from? Looking at the fact that they just came back from childbirth and they are still breastfeeding their baby and all of that. But we'll keep our fingers crossed and see how they'll perform, of course, at the coming Olympics. But let's talk tennis this morning, as we hear Great Britain's Andy Murray has suggested he may only have a few months left over his tennis career after earning his second win of the 2024 in Dubai. 2024 in Dubai. The 36-year-old beat Canadian Danish Shapovalov 4-6, 7-6, 6-3. Murray was on a 6-match losing streak until last week when he secured his first win of the year in Doha. Three-time Grand Slam champion Murray's potential retirement has been a topic of discussion for several years after the Scot underwent hip replacement surgery in 2019, but Murray defied the odds to return to the court, winning another title and winning 3 other finals, the last of which was last year when he lost to Daniil Medvedev in Doha. Michael, I don't know what you make of it. A lot of talks, a lot of discussion on Andy Murray. Is this time for him to retire? But the man, of course, retiring very soon, maybe probably this year. But what do you make of his performance since he returned from the hip surgery?
I think nothing to write home about. He went on 6-match losing streak so far. He won his first game last 3 weeks, and he saw how he celebrated that victory. It looked as though it is his first major championship. So it tells you how bad his form has become since he came back from that hip surgery out there. And there were talk from different quarters, especially his fans out there, to call it a quit, throw in the towel, so that you don't rubbish whatever achievement you had already achieved for yourself. I was part of those who said that he should call it a quit, so that you don't rubbish whatever achievement you have created for yourself when you talk about the world of tennis out there. But he was still insisting that he's still very much around in the court. But then it looked as though the reality has dawned on him this time, to throw in the towel, and that is why he made that big statement yesterday. And for me, I think it would be a good idea for him, because his last defeat, I think, was so bad that it was 18 years old that actually defeated him. And the legacy that he has created for himself when you talk about the world of tennis, and for me it makes no sense just because of the passion that you have for the game. It makes no sense for you to stay on the court and allow teenagers underage to come and make mess of whatever achievements you have achieved for yourself. Looking at his form in the past 7 games so far, you say that it's nothing to write home about. Winning 6 and losing 6 and winning just 2. It tells you how poor his form has become. So I think, for me, if you ask me, it is the best time for him to just throw in the towel.
All right, let's keep our fingers crossed and see if Andy Murray will throw in the towel very soon. But since talking about tennis, British #1 Kati Bota cruised past Ukrainian Lesia Serengo in straight sets at the San Diego Open. The 37-year-old beat world number 36 Serengo 6-3, 6-1 in 1 hour and 10 minutes on her tournament debut. Bota is ranked 49 in the world, but the result means she could rise to a career high 43 when the next rankings are released. She will face 13th ranked Brazilian Beatriz-headed mare in the second round. All right, at this point, we'll take a short break, and when we come back from this break, we'll bring you, of course, the latest revolving around the fourth world of football. We'll start with the Nigerian Premier Football League, where there is much jubilation in the MPFL board due to the impressive outing of teams at the March the 21 encounter. We'll be right back. Please stay with us.
Telling him not to counterpunch. Telling him not to counterpunch.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Telling him not to counterpunch.
You're welcome back, Steve Sports Talk on Atlantic Television Network, and of course we're into the last lap of the show. And we told you, of course, to be taking a look at the Nigerian Premier Football League. We saw an impressive outing in March Day 21. The management, players and fans for the 20 clubs of the Nigerian Premier Football League have received commendations for a weekend of great sportsmanship and a great atmosphere. For the March Day 31 fixtures. Two sides, Doma United and Akwa United, lost their home games, while there were three drawn games in Benin, Jos, and Ilorin. Delse Wemi, the chief operating officer for the MPFL, reviewing the weekend games, observed that it represented the best of the character of the MPFL fans. He disclosed that a report reaching his desk from various centers had no disputes or complaints about officiating. In other results at the weekend, Kano Pillars had the biggest win, 5-1 against Sunshine Stars, and Gombe United beat Sporting Lagos 2-0 in Gombe. Heartland lost 1-0 in Lafayette to Lobby Stars. Nigeria Tornadoes won 1-0 against Ambe Warriors. The season continues midweek with 9 fixtures as Rivers United games are put on hold due to CAF Confederation Cup engagement. Michael, David Sewe made, the chief operating officer of the MPFA board is very much happy with, of course, the information he received from different centers in March Day 21 encounter.
Yes, not only Davidson Owumi happy, but I think entire football followers, especially that of the fans of NPFL, as well, we'll be very, very happy with the weekend result where we had about 9 games. We recorded about 5 home wins and 2 away wins. So for me, I think it's quite an improvement from what we used to see in the past. But then, I think the only area was about the goal returns. We couldn't record much goal returns. Out of those 8 to 9 games, we all had about 14 goals scored. And Kano Pillars scored 5 past their opponent, so it was the only Kano Pillars game that produced enough goals, 5 goals in that very one. Exception of that, you say that the goal return is not encouraging, but then he's talking about the officiating in the sense that fans were very, very pleased. We didn't get any negative report that the home team will complain about bad officiating, neither the away team complain about bad officiating and all of that, which has become something that we were used to in the past. But I think this year's NPFL, there's different changes. We've seen a whole lot of changes, a whole lot of improvement in the league so far. Let's just hope that this can continue, because every year we still try to improve on the league, but then we never get it right. You see that this year you discover that a certain telecommunication giant have bought a right to televise the league. You see that 2 or 3 matches. Well, we'll be happy, hoping that next season we are going to even increase in that performance. We just remain stagnant at some time. We end up not contractual terms with such an agreement. You see them pulling out. Sometimes you see them taking some of the issues to court, and you continue to linger and all of that. But then I believe if they can be able to sustain this move this season, I think our league will continue to grow from here. And this is what we've been expecting, where our league can meet up with the likes of South Africa, Tunisia, Algeria, and the rest of it. So I think for me, I'm very, very happy as well, looking at the officiating so far in the weekend, where we had all of the team coming back home smiling. Whether you lose, draw, or you win, there is this sense of satisfaction from the side of the center ref and the official, because whenever your team plays well and deserve all 3 points, but cost you of bad officiating, you were denied of such 3 points. You know how painful it always is. And again, when you play and your team deserve not to get all 3 points, and sometimes you'll be very much satisfied with the performance of the ref. Why? Because he allowed everything to go according to the rules of the game, other than trying to influence the outcome. So for me, if we can continue on this path, I tell you, our league will continue to improve from here. But if we lower the standard, then it is also a problem to us.
And don't forget, last week the NFF president, Ibrahim Musa Gusau, of course, actually gave a very huge warning to the Nigerian referees that they should actually put up a very impressive performance, or else anyone, of course, that is actually found wanting in any negative acts will be sanctioned. This was after, of course, we saw about 30 referees. They were given FIFA badges because of the 2025 African Cup of Nations that will be coming up and other tournaments. We expect to see Nigerian referees, of course, officiating in those tournaments. Do you think, from what we're seeing at this point, is it as a result of what the NFF president said and what has been laid on guard and ready for the referees?
Well, for me, I do not think so. It's just about trying to, being professional in your duty out there. Of course, after that charge, you cannot truly say that despite the weekend officiating, good officiating, you can't say that in the entire season so far, even before now, that the referee has not been equal to the task. I think in weeks past as well, they have actually, put up a good show out there. So you can't actually just attribute their good show in the weekend because of the statement of Ibrahim Gusau. But these are part and parcel of the responsibility and the charge from, Ibrahim Gusau to ensure that referees step up their game. But then again, I think for me, it behoves on the Nigerian Referee Association as well, to also, up their ante when it has to do with their game. They need to be more professional, because I know they are not very happy in the sense that in the just concluded 34th edition of the African Cup of Nations, not even a single Nigerian ref, was included in that very one. So I think for me, they are not happy about that, about them not being included, because of the fact that CAF actually wanted the best in all of CAF organized competition. And if you don't meet up to that standard of what they want, then you are not going to be selected as part of the officiating officials out there. So for me, I just think that they just have taken it as a point of duty for themselves that they want to be part and parcel of the 2025 upcoming African Cup of Nations, and that is why I think that they're doing everything possible so as to improve their games in different areas, so that at least CAF can also look into their direction come 2025. These are some of the things which I think the Referee Association is looking at, and by so doing, I believe they have advised their members out there, whenever they are on duty, they should be very professional to the call, not to lower the standards, so that they will have an opportunity of being selected by CAF to officiate any CAF organized competition out there. But then again, this charge from Ibrahim Gusau, for me as well, it is also very important, so that the referee, if they were sleeping, then also need to wake up from their slumber and do the rightful thing, so that they can be able to bring glory to the country. Because when they are selected to officiate in CAF organized competition, then they are bringing glory to the nation. They are also bringing glory and fame to, talking about the NPFL as well.
And of course, let's stay away from the NPFL also to talk about the Super Falcons of Nigeria. Nigerian senior national football team, Super Falcons of Nigeria, has advanced to the next round of Paris 2024 Olympic qualifiers. Super Falcons defeated their counterpart from Cameroon by a lone goal after their goalless draw in Douala, Cameroon last week Friday. Goal from Esther Okoronkwo in the 14 minutes of the first half was enough for the Super Falcons to advance to the next round of the qualifiers. The match was played at the Moshid Abela National Stadium in Abuja, and the Falcons will face South Africa in the last round of the Olympic qualifiers. Of course, that particular one will come up in April. But Michael, what do you make of the performance of the Super Falcons of Nigeria against the indomitable Lionesses of Cameroon?
For me, you want to say that a long goal victory, not that convincing, but then what matters is that we're able to progress through. We're able to get past over the indomitable Lionesses of Cameroon. In the first leg away at Cameroon out there, we played a goalless draw against them. Coming back home here, I think we had the opportunity to have scored 3-4 goals past them, but we couldn't take our chances. The likes of Assis and Oshola, even Gift Monday, Koronkwo as well, who scored the winning goal in the 14th minute, had lot of chances, especially in the first half, to have even scored 2 or 3 goals in the first half, but they did not take their chances. Ajibade as well, then Gift Monday, when Gift Monday came on, as a sub, for me, she wasn't actually that Gift Monday that we used to know, because I had to go back watch the clips of those games as well. But like I said, 1 goal victory is not that convincing, but what is very important is the result. We were able to get past the Cameroonian ladies out there, and we'll be meeting a very tougher opponent, talking about South Africa You know the quality that South African ladies has out there, and for me, we truly need to, do something very, very spectacular against South Africa. Because if we play the same pattern we played against the Cameroon ladies, I think it would be very, very difficult for us. But then, I think there are other areas of the game that we also need to talk about. There are some controversies as well. There are some skirmishes in especially the second half of the game, where the Cameroonian ladies, I mean the girls out there, they're consistently coming to the post of Chiamaka Nnadozie. I don't know what they were looking for in the post. About 3 of their players, each time they keep coming to the post to check. I don't know whatever they are checking. At some point, it looked as though the players were saying that they had there is this fetish belief within them that Chiamaka dropped maybe all this kind of maybe diabolical stuff and all of that. This fetish belief with Africa. But Chiamaka kept very quiet. She kept to the rules of the game by not interfering. But it became so much that even the last time their player came there, Chiamaka tried to stop the girl, and unfortunately, she actually elbowed Chiamaka. That was at the dying end of the game. We still had about 5 minutes to play, and a red card was dished out to them out there. So for me, these are some of the beliefs that we should actually jettison out of football, because Africa, I don't know this thing about fetish belief. If you don't know this game, you don't know it. Even if you go to India, to concoct any diabolical thing, you don't know the game, you don't know it. So I think that belief, for me, we should actually do away with such a, negative belief. Away from that, from the main game, just like I said, the girls did everything possible, but for me, I was not satisfied with the goal return, because we had opportunities to have scored about 3-4 goals past the Cameroonian Lionesses are there, but we couldn't do so. But one thing is very important: we were able to get past them. Then we should also buckle up for the game that is coming up against South Africa. Randy Waldrum should actually do some finishing touches when it has to do with the front line, so that we'll be able to take our chances, so that we don't look like the men at the Blues, talking about Chelsea Football Club, that create lot of chances, but they find it difficult to convert their chances. So that is what I saw in yesterday's game. But exception of that, I think it was a good game generally.
Good game for the Super Falcons of Nigeria. We hope, of course, they'll be able to beat the South African ladies to get to the Paris Olympics. But away from that, let's bring the other matters as well. The opening round, the water sport, as Belgian Pro League champion Ray Antwerp has celebrated Hassan Yusuf after he made his 100th appearance for the club. Yusuf started Antwerp 2 draw against Car Games on Sunday, and the Nigerian international was in action for 79 minutes in the trailing contest. The 23-year-old joined the Reds from Swedish club Konterberg in 2021. Yusuf won the Belgian Pro League and Belgium Cup with Antwerp last season. The midfielder was part of Nigeria's silver winning squad at the 2023 African Cup of Nations. 100 caps, of course, for the man Hassan Yusuf as Antwerp Michael.
Good one for him out there. He has been a very, very special player for Royal Antwerp. A fulcrum within the middle of the park for them. He's actually been doing a great job, and his teammate and the club as well is very, very in love, with him, because your teammates, your environment where you're working with, they have this regard for you whenever they discover that you have so much to offer for the team, and that is why they are celebrating his 100 cap for Royal Antwerp.
We hear that William Trusaka, of course, will be ruled out for the rest of the season.
Not a good one. But then he also pointed out to some Nigerian fans who were also trying to single out some individual from the Super Eagles squad for cyberbullying, which for me it shouldn't be. They don't know what some of these players passed through during the African Cup of Nations. Truth, Ekon couldn't play our last group game against, was it Guinea-Bissau? Yeah, against Guinea-Bissau, courtesy of that injury. But then he was able to come back for the knockout games as well, played down to the final. With that pain in his leg, nobody noticed it. And, he was able to carry the burden of the team and actually become, you know, the most valuable player in the tournament. That is to tell you how committed these players are for the national team. So sometimes when we just sit back and watch them on the screen play out there, we thought that these guys are not serious, they are not giving it their best, not knowing the pains that some of them, you know, passes through while on the pitch of play. Like I said, Ekong was injured. He was playing under injury during the just concluded African Cup of Nations, but nobody noticed, nobody knew about it. Right now, he'll be away. I mean, in short, his season so far has been, you know, ended courtesy of this injury, because he need to go for surgery so as to correct it. And for me, I think it's a sad one for him. But then I think he actually truly need to go for surgery so as to avoid further, you know, aggravation of such an injury.
All right, we hope we'll actually pray for quick recovery for William Chusekong, one of the very best player, one of the very best, of course, when you talk about players in the Super Eagles of Nigeria. But Michael, we hear that CAF has entered negotiation with FIFA Morocco over AFCON 2025 timing. The Confederation of African Football has reportedly in negotiation with different stakeholders over the timing of 2025 African Cup of Nations to be held in Morocco. The flagship of African sports event has not been able to get a definite calendar since 2012, when it was shifted to the odd years to avoid clash with the World Cup. In some instances, not only timing has been the issue, the host countries have had to change as it had happened in the last 5 editions. Morocco, the next hosts, have opted for summer, which was CAF initial accepted calendar, starting with the 2019 edition, which shifted from the initial host nation Cameroon to Egypt. And
the calendars of the FIFA and other sport activities are there. So if you ask me, I think it's a good move. They don't need to be in a rush, so that we don't end up, you know, preparing for such a big tournament, and we end up not enjoying it, courtesy of bad all of that. Because if they fix it when the weather is not very, very okay, then it's going to affect the competition.
all right, let's bring it to some before we call it a wrap on the show this morning. We hear that Everton, you know, point deduction punishment has been reduced from 10 to 6 after an appeal. Everton's penalty bridging Premier League finale has been reduced from 10 points to 6 after an appeal. The club were immediately docked 10 points in November for breaking profits and sustainability rules in the 3-year period to 2021 and 2022. The punishments, the biggest in Premier League history, dropped Everton from 14th to 19th in the table, and the reduction lifts them from 17 to 15. Although the club is facing another possible point deduction, Everton, who admitted the breach, said they are satisfied with the reduction. And yesterday we saw an impressive encounter, of course, for David Moyes' men, as they were able to get past Brentford with, of course, a hat-trick, you know, for one of their man down there, who actually put up, you know, an impressive, you know, performance in that one. Talking about Bowen, it added 4 goals to 2 in that particular one. But at this point, we have to call it a wrap on the show. Michael, living an impressive time this morning.
It's always a great time doing this with you.
We'll be back by 6 p.m. for Sport Extraordinary. Don't forget, Peace and Unity was the pathways to progress. You can go down to our different social media handle. The conversations continues down there. My name is Kingsley Manuel. Thanks for watching.